Welcome everyone to Mumbai for the Asian Junior Championships. On your screen are the future of Indian women's chess. Little girls, Prishita is on the left, Pratitee is on the right, and Prishita opens the game with knight to f3 and presses the clock. Now, Prishita, born in 2011, is on 5.5 points out of 7. Pratiti is on 6 out of 7. She's the sole leader right now and she's born in 2013. So she's just 13 years old. Very talented girl. And she plays her knight out to f6. The one who wins this game would very likely win the title of Asian Juniors. Now imagine juniors is under 20 and these two girls at the age of 15 and 13 are fighting for the top spot. That just goes to show how talented they are. We have d4 by Prishita. She's kind of converting this into a Catalan, but Pratiti is like, I haven't yet played e6, so let me get my bishop outside the pawn chain. Bishop g2 played, and now she plays her pawn to e6. Often white tries to hassle the bishop with knight h4, but Prishita goes pawn to c4. And she's playing quickly, showing that she's well prepared. Pratiti is taking her time, castles here. And now bishop comes out to e7. Knight can go to c3. She does play it. And now with the e4 square being controlled, knight h4 becomes a real idea. So h6 played. And now the bishop has a space to go back. Queen b3, attacking the pawn on b7. And usually you meet it with queen b6. So that if you trade, I take back with the pawn, opening up my rook. And c5 played here by Prishita. Queen a6 is the usual move here, but queen takes b3 played, and that's also very logical. But now white wants to go b4, b5. So I'm interested to see how Pratiti handles this position. She castles, and most likely b4 is logical. And she plays it. Even if you play a6, I can get b5. Takes knight b5, you can't take because the rook on a8 is hanging, but I guess knight c6 and black is fine. So a6 anyway played here by Pratiti, and she's like b5 I will play that way, and knight d2 played by Prishita. A very typical idea to bring your knight to a5 and put pressure on b7. So bishop c2 played, stopping that. Such a interesting play by both these youngsters. e4 played. Makes sense. You want to open up the position, but Pratiti is like, don't you think your d4 pawn will get a bit weak? I can attack it. Knight d takes e4. And knight takes e4 taken. You can take back with the bishop. Also the knight, he takes back with the bishop here. And after bishop takes bishop, there's knight takes bishop. You put your bishop on e3 and defend this. So he does take on e4. And knight takes on e4. One of the ideas in this position is to play rook d8 and put pressure here, but Pratiti simply develops her knight, and she's asking Prishita, what is your compensation here? And Prishita says, I'm going again with my knight to c4 to a5. So very interesting fight by both these youngsters. Knight f6 played and knight c4. Logical move coming here. If you can put your bishop to c7, that could be a plan, but knight d5 played, attacking the b4 pawn before you can attack my pawn. So bishop d2 defends b4, and Pratiti plays another beautiful move, bishop d8, to get the bishop to c7. Excellent play here. f4 played by Prishita. She's trying to create play with f5. Bishop comes to c7. And I guess f5 might be a bit too rash here. Takes, rook takes, and rook a8. Black would be the one to enter in. So rook ae1 played first. Both the rooks now well activated. Rook fe8. Again, getting ready for f5 break. Prishita waits with rook e2. Both of them playing quickly. 1 hour, 1 minute left for Prishita. And almost 54 minutes for Pratitee. Rook a d8 and rook e1 played. White can improve their position with king g2, king f3. Right now the rooks have been doubled. King f8 played. I am not sure where this king is going. Does she want to put her king on c8? King f2. And Pratitee now waiting here. She brings her rook up to e7. Her idea is rook d7, then get the knight out and attack the d4 pawn. We have bishop to c3 played. The bishop does a good job of defending d4 and b4, but on its own, it's a passive piece. Rook d7 played. One plan can be to go knight e7 and f5, and then you have d4 pawn falling. So king f3. And she does play knight e7. Excellent. The knight comes back to e3 so that if knight f5, you can trade it. And the knight comes up to d5, offering a trade. She goes knight g2. Maybe he could have come back to c4. But knight g2. And now Pratitee is not interested in a draw. She goes rook a8. Maybe looking at a5. Knight h4 played. Does she want to play f5 here? And g6 played, stopping that idea. There was also a possibility to just push g5. But I think this is more than anything a game of patience now. Both of them playing so well, keeping control. Who's the first one to flinch? Bishop to d8. g4. Ooh. Prishita starts getting active. She may want to go h4 and start pushing. Bishop comes to f6. And rook to d1, defending the d4 pawn. And the rook comes to d8. Well, maybe knight c7 to b5. That can be a plan. So very interesting maneuver here of moving the bishop here and now freeing this square. And she does play it, knight c7. Let's go. I think Prishita may have to go knight c2 and defend here. Yes, she plays knight to c2. And knight b5. Attacking d4. Now 4 attackers. And we have 3 defenders. Here comes another defender. 4 defenders. Okay. Pratitee needs to open another front now. But the question is from where? King e7. We have some guests who are looking at the game. 29 minutes for Pratitee. 44 minutes for Prishita. King e4 played. And now the bishop drops back to g7. We have knight a3 because the king defended the pawn. So now she's going and trading here. f5 played. And king e3. Maybe not the best. Like you could take and then come back or come to f3. But she goes directly. And now I can take on a3, ba3 and take the pawn here on g4, and that is a free pawn. She takes on a3. It's a question now to Prishita. Why did she give up this pawn on g4? F takes g4 taken. And rook comes to g2, but now you can play h5 keeping the pawn. I do think h3 trying to open up this could result in some counterplay, but let's see how Pratitee deals with this. She has gotten a big advantage. Prishita did make errors, but she has fighting chances. h3. Oh, there are tactics in the air. She goes g5, but look at this. Takes, rook g6, bishop d4, takes here, takes, rook takes, king takes h2 and winning. Wow, that was a great variation. But she goes g5. That's actually a complex move to face. H takes g4. And Pratitee takes g takes f4 check. King takes f4. She goes king f3 because maybe king f4. There's e5, but there's also d4 hanging. So she goes here. But now hg4 and d4 hangs. Has to be calculated carefully. Oh, h4 played here by Pratitee. She didn't take it. I can understand. She would have been afraid of takes, and then there is rook g7 check, and you lose b7. But after e5, this is winning for black. So king f3, h4, bishop comes back to e1. Attacking this pawn with a check. I think bishop f6 makes sense. But you want to take the pawn on d4. There's also rook d4. What a nice move that would be, because bishop h4 check, she does take it. Bishop h4 check, you move the king. If you take my rook, I take your rook. And if you take my rook, then I take this rook. And there is no longer any skewer. Bishop check. King comes to f7. And now Prishita is just losing this game completely, because I mean, even e5 looks like a playable idea. And rook h8 to activate the rook from here. So many interesting possibilities for black now. They're also pawn up. Rook d5 played. Bishop comes back to e1. And rook d3 check. That's an interesting move, giving up the pawn on f4. Wonder what Pratitee has in her mind. If king takes f4, Prishita takes it. The material is even on the board, but look at the king. It's so weak. King g6 played. And I think she's going for the checkmate, yeah? With the king being on f4. This king cut off here, this king cut off here. Bishop f2. And she goes and even snatches another pawn. Rook takes a3. Rook comes to g1. And Pratitee goes rook d2. A nice move with many threats. Check could come from here. Check could come from this side. The king is cut off like this. The rook is putting pressure here. Prishita, well, she fought hard in this game, but she's put under pressure by Pratitee in a very unique way. And Prishita resigns. Pratitee wins. And with this, she takes a 1 point lead over the field. 7 points out of 8. Pratitee Bordoloi, this name is definitely something that you should keep in mind. She is someone who's playing amazing, amazing chess, and she's just 13 years old. Meanwhile, Prishita, well, she's played excellently in this tournament, but this game, I felt like this move e4 started the entire problem for her, because then her d4 pawn became weak and she had to defend throughout. And kudos to Pratiti for keeping her calm, not rushing into it, not trying to be like, oh, I have an advantage, I must convert it. She just nurtured her edge and now has a lead over the field and 1 point lead, and she drew her final round to actually become the Asian junior champion at the age of 13 years only. That's insane, insane. Guys, keep the name in your mind, Pratitee Bordoloi. She's very likely to be one of India's biggest stars in the years to come.